Welcome, everyone, to a video that will probably get me blacklisted from multiple LFG servers, will make me hated by probably around half the PvP community, and will be so controversial that even Twitter users will flame me for it. Today we're going to be talking about the Destiny 2 controversial topic of Tarrabah. So, I love using SMGs, as I have around 3,500 kills on my shares over the past, I would say, probably 4 or 5 seasons, however long it's been out. But very recently I switched to Tarrabah. And Tarrabah is one of those weapons which I've loved using since I got it from Crown in Season of Arrivals right before it went away. For those D2, I guess now technically veterans, uh, who were able to farm Crown when it was going to be sunset, I got it through one of those runs. And I've always loved it as a gun. I think it looks great. I think the perk combinations are fantastic. But I wasn't the biggest fan of the aggressive archetype of SMGs. I'm still more of a precision person myself. But with the new changes, Tarrabah has now become my most favorite weapon, or my most favorite SMG so far. But one thing still bugs me, and it's the fact that it still does not have a catalyst. Now, most guns have catalysts now, even ones that date back to the Red War, whether those were introduced very recently or maybe as they were released. But there are still some weapons who very recently have been getting catalysts, like Jotun, Le Monarch, things like that. But Tarrabah, which is a raid weapon and costs 240 spoils to get, still does not have a catalyst. And I think it deserves one. So who here is ready for the shit show that is about to go down, called My Opinion Piece on Why Tarrabah Should Get a Catalyst? Roll the clips. So before we get into catalyst ideas, I first wanted to talk about the actual stats of Tarrabah. So Tarrabah is a very exceptional SMG. It's got some really high stats for its archetype. And so you can see on screen, we're doing a damage fall-off test. So the first thing that we tried was 20 meters. That was full damage. The second thing we tried was 24 meters. That was damage drop-off. There we just tried 22. And there we just tried 21. So 21 meters is full damage, 22 is damage drop-off. And so now we're going to move into the TTK section. So Tarrabah has the same TTK as any other aggressive SMG at a 0.67. But with Ravenous Beast active, it does 0.4. So that has the fastest TTK of anything currently in the game. And so Tarrabah, just like going over the stats that the game shows you, so it's 22 impact, so that 22 to the head. Ravenous Beast does 30 to the head and to the body. Its range is 58, which is really good for some SMGs, and it has some really good perks on there, like Armor Piercing Extended, which increases the range of the SMG. The stability and handling are alright at 30 and 40 respectively. The reload speed is 35, which in all of these clips I'm running Ophidians because it helps with reload speed and it is a consistent exotic. I like the consistency of it. If you want to bully me, go ahead. The aim assist on this gun is 40. The airborne accuracy, which is something released with this season, is 23, but since it is an SMG, like sidearms, it doesn't really get affected by inner accuracy as much as hand cannons and scouts would. The zoom is 16, which is really good for an SMG, which increases the range even more. The recoil direction is 100, so it's perfectly vertical. And so going into the little niche details, since it is an aggressive frame, it is a 650 RPM, but while Ravenous Beast is active, it does get bumped up even more to a 900. So it goes from doing base damage to 33 damage on the head and the body, and also getting bumped up to a 900 RPM SMG, which is absolutely insane. Getting into the more niche things with the gun, Tarrabah charges off of shots landed and not damage dealt. So range does not matter in this equation, but Tarrabah in PvP only needs 20 hit shots to be able to get a full Ravenous Beast charge. So that's 5% per hit, and it also charges by taking damage, and around 37 ticks of damage uh, gets it in PvP. So it's yet again not about the damage that you take, it's about the amount of ticks of damage. So getting into the actual catalyst ideas, I heard a lot of varying things from varying people. I tried to ask a balance of people that don't use Tarrabah and people that do use Tarrabah in PvP. It's a very small sample size, so I got a couple of opinions on the matter. But some of these are also my opinions from using Tarrabah for a month and what I think the catalyst could be. And so I've got some varying opinions from buffing the rate of fire during Ravenous Beast, like giving it a range buff, giving it an extra perk. I heard Thresh, I heard Unrelenting, I heard Rangefinder. No, Rangefinder is not needed for this gun. It's already that good. But my main things that I'm rooting for, I do really like the Thresh idea. I think Thresh would be a great option, at least for PvP. But I also think something that makes Tarrabah really interesting in PvP is the fact that when Ravenous Beast is active, the body shots and the headshots do the same amount of damage, so it has no headshot multiplier on the gun. So I think the Catalyst should give you the normal headshot multiplier, so maybe turn it from 33 to 37. And I think Thresh or Unrelenting, I think those two perk combos, or those two perks are a little bit underrated. I think those are perks that you don't see too often other than in like specific builds. So it wouldn't be anything game breaking like Rangefinder, but I do think Thresh would be like a nice quality of life thing for Tarrabah, especially if you're going on massive streaks with this gun. Thresh could be really good. So now that we're done with my thoughts on the gun, what I wanted to quickly do is I wanted to make this into kind of like a guide. I just want to let people understand how they can use the gun most effectively, and in general how to perform, because I think Tarrabah is one of those weapons that has such a high learning curve, such a high skill ceiling. There were things that I didn't even know, and there's things that I've talked to other Tarrabah mains about that even they didn't know. These next couple clips are going to be longer videos, so it's going to be 1-minute clips, and so you actually get to see my gameplay while I talk about tips. So the first tip that I give to anybody that runs SMGs period is learn the actual range of your SMG before taking a gunfight. So for example, Tarrabah has some pretty good range, but that varies from SMG to SMG. I used to use Shaira's, which has a higher damage drop-off than Tarrabah does, and it is quite difficult at first to understand the range of SMGs and understand their effective range, basically. So the range that you can just absolutely melt somebody at. Something for Tarrabah specifically is that a lot of new players to the gun have a very hard time switching off of Tarrabah to whatever other primary or special that they use, whether that's a shotgun like I use, or whether that's a sniper, which I've also put on from time to time. People find it pretty hard to switch off at the cost of 50% of your Ravenous Beast energy. But something that you will learn with time and experience is that 50% of your Ravenous Beast energy is perfectly worth it to win that gunfight. So something very important for SMGs in general is movement. So you'll see me slide a lot. I play on Warlock, so I have access to the better slide, which we call Rift. So movement is very important with SMGs like it is hand cannons, because good movement is what allows you to close the gap to a lot of the gunfights that you're going to get into, because SMGs, perfectly honest, don't have that good of a range. Some of them, in very specific cases, can map from absolutely insane distances, not made ingredient range, Jesus Christ, no. But it's still decent distances. With Tarrabah, this tip is especially important because while Ravenous Beast is active, you get a mobility buff as well. So that increases the distance of your slides, that increases your base movement speed, if not already at 100, but that just makes your movement abilities so much better. And the reason why this is so important is because with Ravenous Beast, you're not going to really do enough damage to extend the timer by that much other than in just a regular gunfight. So what you want to be doing is you want to be moving around, finding those targets so that you can extend your Ravenous Beast duration and just absolutely melt more people with it and get the most out of your Ravenous Beast timer. So something that even I struggle with sometimes is knowing when to pop Ravenous Beast, because you're getting Ravenous Beast energy from every gunfight, because you're both getting hits on targets, and most of the time you're also getting hit, which maximizes the amount of energy that you do get. But learning when to pop, like if somebody's rushing you, don't want to just like frantically hold R, and knowing when to pop is such a critical piece of this. You get it back pretty fast. You pretty much have Ravenous Beast back. So it's really just about knowing when to pop that is so critical. And that is all I have to say. I would like to thank everybody that watched until the end. This is a 10 minutes of Tarrabah content that everybody might not find the most appealing, but I would like to give 2 very special shoutouts to my friend ABC, who you saw in the range test, and really made a lot of these PvP games bearable, so I thank him. And I would also like to thank Noir. He was a beautiful resource for another Tarrabah player's ideas, which was really nice to have this for this video. So I'd like to thank both of them for helping me out, and maybe like, maybe subscribe. It's up to you. I don't force you to do anything, but please. I will see you around. Hopefully I can make more videos like this. This was a blast to make. Thank you for watching.